All right, cold and rainy outside today, so cylinder head day. We'll get these cylinder heads off. We'll start by taking the hood off, take the intake off, take the valve train off, see how far we get today. It's Sunday, so I think it's going to be half a day. All right, let's get started. Let's see what we got.
First order of business is taking the hood off, and hey, look at that. It's a heroic appearance from Brother, coming in to help Dad while I'm working. Thanks, Brother.
Okay. All right, that's free, so. I heard my wife come home with donuts. Donuts first.
Apparently this is the work that gets done when I'm not around. Donuts and downtime. Okay, now that the donuts are finished, we can get down to... Spider! Sorry, false alarm. We can get down to the real work now. That was just the ignition cap. We never took the driver's side valve cover off after we found the bent push rod, so that's where Dad started. Then it's onto the carburetor, which is an easy few bolts and hoses to pull off. We basically have to undo everything we've done in all the previous videos. It's always good to put a bit of tape or something over any exposed holes so nothing falls down into the engine while you're working on it. The rockers and push rods are coming out now. Dad is a stickler for organization, so he'll be showing you his time-tested technique here of keeping it organized.
So basically, I got all this valve train in order. Not that we may use it, we may or may not use it, but it's nice to keep it in order to know where it came out of, and then when you clean it, inspect it, you know where it came from. Of course we know this is the bent push rod right here, but now we can, each rocker, we can look at the bottom side of them where the push rod hits the rocker, and if there's any damage, you know, we can further inspect and so on and so forth. So, I mean, we may or may not use, obviously probably not using those push rods, but we may reuse those rockers, but it's nice to keep them in the same spot that they came from. Check the back side where it hits the valve stem there right at the top, inspect that, and then also the bottom side of the push rod where it goes into the lifter, you know. So whether or not we use it again, who knows, but it's always good to keep it in order. So basically I just, just get a box, whatever, poke some holes in it, put front, and then you'll be able to keep it in order and inspect it as you go.
Time to remove some hoses. Dad wants to clear them of coolant first, so he's going to gently blow some air down them. Let's see how that works.
Well, that didn't go as planned.
Worked the second time though. Radiator hoses are a lot easier to take off. They did have a ton of pressure in them when we started it up last time. We need to look into that. Our next big piece to come out is the distributor. It's not been out for a long time, so it's going to take a little bit of work, and you need to be a little gentle with it.
Well, what do you want? The thing was in there since 1970. So I put a little bit of brake clean down here until I got it free. And then I worked it and worked it and worked it, and then I sucked all the brake clean out before I pulled it out. I didn't want that to go down in there, but yeah, she's been in there for a while. Obviously, you know, I mean, look, someone's been in there, you know what I mean? God, it's all beat up. But we got it, so it's out. We'll see if we can save it, you know, clean it up. Look at the sludge. The sludge on there. Yeah, well, keep going. We'll see if we can get this intake off. I mean, this thing's been to get, you know, I don't know, maybe it's been apart. Who knows? But it's been together since at least, you know, the 70s anyway. But even the gaskets. Let's get this intake off and then we'll get a better look. Now you're not supposed to really pry between two surfaces that need to be mated, but I'll probably pry in here because it's stuck on there. It's on there. These valve covers, you saw me try to get them valve covers off. Oh my god, those things are brutal. But we'll keep going, see what we can do. Yeah, that wasn't bad. There we go. Oh, it's heavy. Well, not too bad in there. I want you to see what we got going on here. Well, as you can see, look at all the old gaskets stuck on here. I mean, it's stuck. A lot of sludge in the valve train area, but not too bad down under there. Not too bad at all. That was the bent pushrod lifter. A little sludgy. Not too bad. Let's vacuum this thing out. So the only thing I got left here is that alternator bolt, that power steering bolt, and then we should be able to get these heads off. I'm not going to take the head bolts off today because I'm going to roll it outside for that. Yeah, I got to undo the exhaust manifolds. But I don't want to do the head bolts and then have whatever coolant's left in that leak into the combustion chamber, into the cylinders.
Now the full team's together. There I am, and it's time to get these heads off.
Now we got to get this cherry picker out of the back of Dad's truck.
This would be a lot easier with a lift, but we don't have one at home, so we just have to use the jack and a couple jack stands. The exhaust manifolds need to be removed from the exhaust before we can take the heads off. We tried 3 different guns before we could get the first bolt off.
Work? Yeah. One off? One off.
These bolts are old and stubborn, so we need to throw a little heat at them to loosen them up.
Sometimes a little bit of heat makes wonders. That's no good.
What's up?
Stripped.
The strip bolt gave us a major issue, so I won't tell you how we got it off. Drain the coolant time.
Look at that. Gotta remember that when you put the head on. Not enough room.
Time to take these heads off. We're using the cherry picker because it'll all around just make it way easier. We could struggle to lift them off, but then if we scratch the paint, that's a whole mess and not something that we want to get into.
Don't even tell me you cannot get them out without taking the manifold out. Okay, pump it up. There we go.
After a little consternation and a lot of wiggling, the first head is off. Look alright?
Looks alright. Years of crud in the cooling system. $1970.
Mm-hmm.
Try that on today's cars. That thing's snapping.
Now it's over to the passenger side, which hopefully doesn't give us as much trouble.
This is where it gets tricky because you know we need to have that bolt out because this goes down in there. That's the dipstick tube. Okay, jack it up.
That pesky alternator bolt won't come loose, so we have to take the head out with it still on. Back to this bolt, it wants to be a real pain in the ass. Guns, heat, nothing is doing. Won't come loose.
That's crazy.
It's starting to turn. It's starting to turn. It's turning.
That's one way to get it off.
The whole thing's the whole thing has to rotate.
You might have to buy an alternator. That is in there. Well, that's one way to get it off, but that's not the way you're supposed to get it off. You know, looking at those valves right there, you can see the ones that were, you can see the discoloration.
Yep.
That's your exhaust valves. See how black that one is?
Yep.
That was the one that wasn't firing. And that's the valve that's stuck right there. So, not too bad though. Now, time to take the heads apart.
Yep.